Tom, your host for the Hidden Truths channel. How's everybody doing this evening? Hope everybody had a great Father's Day. You know, kids enjoy Father's Day just as much as fathers do. Kids enjoy having a father. So, anyway, and we all have the father up there. So he knows what it's like to be a parent to some unruly children. Anyway, tonight's live stream is going to be about the stuff that's going on in Minnesota. My theory behind it, it's getting stranger all the time. So that's what the live stream is going to be about tonight. So if you're watching the replay, go about 3 or 4 minutes into it. I'm waiting for a few people to show up. But if you want to stay, I got a good one. Tell that. Anyway, watching video today of Los Angeles cops, you know, the sheriff's department and stuff, they brought the horses out. And I'm watching this, right? I'm a cowboy, right? Heard lots of cows on a horse before. And these cops are hurting these people. See, when you move cows out on the prairie, out in pastures and stuff, what you do, I moved 1,200 cows at one time before. What you do is you gather them up and you get them strung out about 3 or 4 wide. And sometimes you're a mile long, right? And then when you get to a gate where they got to go through, they all bunch up, of course. And the cowboys get closer and closer, shrinking the circle so you push them through the gate. That's what I saw. It's crazy. The cops are hurting people, and they're responding just like cows. Boy, imagine that. A bunch of animals responding like a bunch of animals. But anyway, yeah, pull out those horses. Tell you what, if you need us cowboys to show up, we can have an old-fashioned branding. Do a lot of roping, have a lot of branding pits going, and we can sit there and wrestle them down and put a little brand on their ass. Something that says traitor or something like that, right? You know, to mark them. But anyway, that'd be so cool. But I thought that was cool, watching people be herded by cops on horses. Yep, this is what this country's come to. Glad I can see all this new stuff. Make sure I can pass it on to my grandchildren. Hurting people. But you know what? LA, they're taking the streets back. So I guess it was good to call it the horses. And then the one federal buildings, you know, that the military's protected. Yeah, go break through that. 3 layers of Marines. Now, if this is what you got to do to protect yourself from idiots, so be it. Anyway, let's get on the subject tonight. The stuff that's going on in Minnesota and my theory behind it, okay? First, okay, one thing, the shooting, of course, we all know he shot the senator, a female senator that voted against illegals, adult illegals getting medical benefits and stuff. I don't think that this is over. There's too many strange stuff that's going on. First, let's look at him. Okay, his resume just sounds awful peculiar. But then he gets hired to run an NGO, a government agency basically, that's buried in bureaucracy, so nobody knows about it, that's in charge of bringing Africans to Minnesota to smooth their transition as they come to our country. Okay, so you got money involved. You got a government agency that nobody knows about. I mean, I never heard about this government agency till this crime that he was in charge of. And you're dealing with bringing people to America. I don't know. Sounds like a sex slave deal thing to me. Government-sponsored, government-covered-up sex slave, sex trafficking operation. I guess we'll see. Maybe I'm jumping too far at that. But like I said, I bet you Tim Walz is sweating bullets right now. And then his wife worked for Tim Walz when he was a congressman and stuff. It stinks to high heaven. But why would this guy all of a sudden because some senator decided to vote against what he vote against what he wanted. Why would he go on a killing spree and have a list of all these other Democrats that he wants to take out? A Democrat wanting to take out Democrats. It goes a lot deeper than this, okay? And then this guy who's in charge of all this bringing people to America and this agency that's buried in the government, it sounds like he's got a lot of secrets, doesn't it? He must have a lot of secrets, okay? But then let's get into, he gets away, right? So he's in the first residence. I'm assuming it was the first residence. Or maybe it was the second one where he wounded people. But anyway, and then he goes in there, and the cops show up. Well, he's still there, which I find, I can't prove it. It's a hidden truth. It's a conspiracy theory, okay? It's just, I know it's a little deeper than the senator voted this way. You don't make a hit list of all the important Democrats in Minnesota because one voted the wrong way. But I'm just saying, you have a government agency that's buried. You have this guy in charge of it that's got a resume that looks spooky, who's got a lot of secrets and stuff, bringing people from Africa to America, to Minnesota. And see, I'm from Minnesota. And the reason I got out of it a few years ago was because of what was going on. But you can't tell me you can't rule out a human smuggling operation. Nothing will come of this? I don't know. You know, now the wife, okay, first he gets away, right? The cops, he's there, they have a shootout, and he gets away. Now, if the cops were to show up there because there was a disturbance, it would be more than just one cop. It's just, the whole thing just doesn't make sense. What's he, some super Rambo that can get away from cops? I mean, they can't find the guy. And then his wife gets stopped. They must have been watching her. Gets stopped in Sibley County. Say, I know this area, okay? I grew up there. And she's got money on her. She's got a gun on her, passport, okay, ammunition. And they say family members, but they had 5 kids. But they don't mention kids, okay? And they want to say this is because a senator voted against what he wanted. Bullshit. Bullshit. This rabbit hole goes a lot deeper than this. And that's just the cover story that they're really pushing hard. Really pushing hard. Okay, my question is, if he went in his house and shot these people, okay, so let's say the cops showed up in a good response time, 4 or 5 minutes. If they got shot, who called the cops? I'm sure that'll all come out, right? But what was he doing in the house? Was he looking for something? Anyway, when the truth comes out, which I hope it does, I mean, I think everybody would be surprised, and maybe old Timmy Waltz will be handcuffed and doing, maybe this will break up this Epstein list stuff, and there'll be a lot of people going to jail. But, you know, this is, then the left, right? They want to take away our gun rights, right? You know, this is the reason why conservatives aren't going to give up our guns, because we are not going to be victims. Who did he go and shoot? Liberals, Democrats who don't believe in guns. And they always become victims of guns. Now, I'm sure if he would have knocked down, he's not going after conservatives. See, this is why I say I don't even think the Republicans even knew it. Are you okay? No, I'm a Marine. Since when is a Marine okay? But I appreciate the concern. Okay? No, I'm just a coiled spring ready to sit there and release my energy. That's all. But no, I know it's crazy. You know, I was just thinking about it. You got money. You got a secret government agency, basically, that I never heard of, and I lived in Minnesota. And you got bringing people in the United States. Just a possibility. I'm not saying it's true. Just a possibility. Hey, Anything's possible. Maybe there's a cop looking into it. We'll all find out in the end. But you tell me what you think it is. You think it's because one senator voted against the bill and all of a sudden this guy just wants to kill Tim Walz and everybody on down that's on the Democratic part? Yeah, the Marine part? Yeah, I know. This is what happens when you take a civilian and turn him into a killer. You know, we learned how to kill people and blow shit up. Not too many jobs like that in the civilian world, are there? And you got to see all this garbage that's going on. All these lies here and lies there. What's going on in LA? Like I said, I loved it. I loved watching the cops herd them damn protesters just like cowboys on horses, herding them through the gate. Okay? I thought it was great. I love seeing shit like that. I love seeing when our side wins. I don't like seeing it when cops get beat on. I mean, I'm not a big cop fan myself, but they're just doing their job. Okay? And their job is to arrest criminals. If you want to be a criminal, well, they're trying to do their job. Anyway, the whole thing's messed up. Okay, but like I say, we're not talking about that now. We're talking about the Minnesota fiasco, okay? Why can't they find this guy? Found his vehicle, his cowboy hat, whatever. Okay, and he was at least 100 miles, over 100 miles away from where it happened. How did he get all this way? And then his wife with the 3 relatives. See, we're not hearing the facts. But you had he was upset about something. Extremely upset about something. And it wasn't because illegal adults were cut off Medicaid. He's a Manchurian candidate. Who's a Manchurian candidate? Anyway, Tim Walz, I tell you what, living in that state under him, and I lived in a conservative county, but it was stressful because all the people from the Twin Cities would sit there and come up through our area, and we had to deal with them a lot, and it was a lot of fruitcakes. Brother, there's a lot of hate going on around. Take time away from it all. Sometimes we can radicalize ourselves. Go fishing or go hunt. Enjoy life like you've been given. Don't waste. Yeah, see, this is the thing, sir. And this is what I want to make a video about this. If you haven't been in the ground side of the service, and I'm talking infant ground side, ground pounder, grunt, super grunt, whatever, in the Marine Corps or in the Army, you don't understand. You don't understand how we feel about the Constitution and our country falling apart. You tell me to sit and relax. Really? If your home's being attacked and you got a foxhole in front of your home, do you want me in that foxhole? Or do you want some soy boy that's taking it easy? I can't help the way I am. I was created this way. Okay? The government created a person they needed to make sure that Americans are safe. You know, we all come out in the civilian world, we try to adjust. Nobody understands. But, relax. Why should I relax and go fishing? You know, if I were to turn my back on what's going on, and I'm not saying I'm going to sit there and start going to combat over it yet, but that time's coming. But I'm going to speak my piece. Too many people have taken it easy. We've allowed ourselves to be, hey, everything's great. I still got the grocery store still open. There's no major hiccups. My phone still works. Everything's great. I mean, I'm a person who doesn't have to have the bombs falling on my house to know what's coming. You know why? Because during Reagan's years, I was over in the Middle East and all that stuff, dealing with it over there. So I saw this shit almost 40 years ago. And you tell me not to get excited when I'm seeing here I'm supposed to go fishing? I'm supposed to go fucking fishing? Us vets don't like hearing that. Us vets don't like hearing say, just relax. You go fishing. I don't think you should have to fight. That's what all us vets are for. You know, the huge army, the biggest military in the world that our government's created over the last 35 years of war. You know, those vets, we can handle it. Then you can go fishing. But the thing is, if you keep going fishing and thinking everybody else needs to go fishing and relax, pretty soon you're not going to be able to go fishing. Okay? And if you got kids and grandkids, that's just the wrong way to think. I don't want my grandkids growing up and my kids growing, you know, my kids, they all have kids, right? And they're struggling harder than their mom and I did to survive, and they make more money. Because I just see everybody becoming more of a financial slave every day and every day. They get suckered into these loans. Oh, you need it today. You can take it home today with no money down. Just getting everybody into debt. I mean, for one thing, what country has college so expensive that we have kids that have never really had a real job get out of college 6 figures in debt? I've never been 6 figures in debt before in my life, but I know it'd be stressful. But I couldn't imagine starting out in the real world trying to get a job. I mean, what are your payments on that? What do you pay, $1,200 a month for fucking 40 years like you bought a house? Anyway, enough on that. But this Minnesota situation, okay, so they can't catch the guy. His wife is definitely acting suspicious. They haven't been arrested yet. They've just been detained and questioned. But the thing is, I don't understand what airport they would have been going to with passports and stuff going into you could say the sticks of Minnesota. It's not like there's any international airports out there and stuff. But the whole thing just stinks to high heaven, okay? I can't prove my theory. It's just a theory. You know, this is the thing, why you have conspiracy theories, because we're not allowed to hear the truth. I think he did himself in. Could be. Don't you think? They had the vehicle and stuff. They had to sent the cadaver dogs would have found him by now. Hell, I had a search and rescue dog 30 years ago, or a little over 30 years ago. She got killed, but anyway, it wouldn't take her very long to find that person. Anyway, but it just stinks, okay? We're not being told the truth. There's something really screwy. Like I say, this ain't over a senator voting against the bill. There's no god dang way. It has to do with money, U.S. aid. I guarantee you they're part of it. It may be a human trafficking situation that's government funded. Could you imagine that actually going on in this country? It'd be sick and twisted, but you know, it could be true. Anyway, this is what happens when you live in in a time where the truth is not allowed to be said. Where all it is a bodyguard of lies we hear all the time. Okay? And one reason I think I may know I'm right is because the short I did about that, no play. Well, on my other channel, before Joe Biden dropped out and they put Kamala Harris in, it was that Wednesday night, that weekend before. And I made a short saying they're going to put Kamala, we'll know on Monday who the new Democratic presidential candidate is, because they're telling JoJo in Delaware right now that he's dropping out. And I said, we'll know by Monday. Well, we found out Sunday night Kamala Harris was running, but they wouldn't show that one either. Nailed that on the nose. Every time I say anything out there in California that is the truth, I am a bad guy. Yeah. Well, this is the thing, sir. I heard the stupidest thing from watching the live stream from a protester. Morality before reality. That's why they hate the truth. That's why they can't stand the truth. They think they're so smart by saying that. We're such immoral people that we don't even have to live in reality. Excuse me, but so they're basically saying they're not living in our reality. So when you try to tell them the truth, they don't believe none of that, okay? They're living in their reality where men can get pregnant, the metaverse and stuff, video games, their fantasies, okay? They never taught they had to live in the practical world. You, like me, we had to live in the truth. Our parents told us the truth, whether we want to hear it or not. They didn't care about our feelings. All they cared about was us becoming good, productive adults. Don't stop telling the truth. Like I say, the only thing we need to do to beat these people, we don't even need a gun that shoots a bullet. All we need a gun is that yells the truth at them, and they'll curl up in the fetal position. I mean, the truth microaggressions them because they live. I mean, when I heard that yesterday, it explains the mindset of them completely. They see reality, but they don't accept it because it don't fit into their mental illness. This is Newsom's last term. Harris is going to run for governor of California. Say a prayer for us. Oh, my God. What? Please, you good people of California. I mean, are they like stuffing the ballot boxes that much? I don't understand how you go from Reagan to what you got now. Anyway, I do feel sorry for you people in California. I will not go to California no more. Because you got to stop to go in the state. Remember the fruit fly in the 70s? When they put all that shit up, guess what? It's still there. It's like going into another country. And then, I don't want to sit there and insult California, but when you're driving down the road, especially the interstates, it's like somebody took a line of garbage trucks lined up and just opened their back ends and drove down the road. And that was years ago. I can't even imagine what it looks like now. I mean, you guys pay $10,000 in rent every month. Heck, you pay rent for 3 months. You just bought a house here. And you can buy a house here a lot cheaper than you can buy a car or a vehicle, especially a pickup. I don't know how you guys do it. And then walking down the street there. I mean, I'm sorry, not that I feel safe here there anyway, but probably wouldn't be afraid of the hoodlum. I'd be more afraid of the freakazoid that is acting schizophrenic. Okay? At least I know what a bad guy, what I got to deal with. This guy that looks like he's losing his mind, I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to have to deal with him sooner or later. And then the homelessness. Anyway, but if you're in Northern California, you guys need to succeed. Become your own state. California's a big enough state where it can be split in half. And you people in the North can live a normal life and be not subject to the big cities from the South. That's one thing here in Nebraska. We're subject, because we don't have a big population out here. We don't even have counties that have 2,000 people in them and stuff. And we're subject to the whims of Omaha and Lincoln. Okay, way on the other end of the state that have a different mindset. But, I don't know how you deal with it. It's sad. It's sad to see a state that was glowing, where everybody wanted to go into the land of dreams. It's turned into a land of nightmares. But it's taken over by a group of people that wants to exploit. all the greatness that Californians in the past have created, just like going on in our country. All these people exploiting what our forefathers and our grandparents and stuff created, the wealth they created. We're just become a lazy, generations have become lazy, and hard times make strong men, and easy times make weak men. It's just a cycle that goes on, and this is a cycle this country's going through. Anyway, but yeah, California. That's a different place. Like I say, I was in there a couple times when I was in the Marine Corps, went to boot camp in San Diego, Camp Pendleton a couple times, 29 Palms for desert training, but I was never stationed there. In boot camp, I guess you could say I was stationed there, but you're not allowed to leave or not. So anyway, but yeah, it's got to be a tough, inexpensive. I mean, I can't imagine having to make $25,000 a month just to be able to pay your bills. That's insanity. Because the more money you make out there, the more they charge. So you can sit there and get a $20,000 a year raise, but everything in the store went up that exact amount. So the only thing making more money is the stores. Well, how do I know this? Because I saw it in the military. We get our 3 or 4% raise every year, right? Guess what, the PX, when it came open on January 5th, everything went up 3 or 4%. Imagine that. So did I get a raise? Not really. Anyway, back to this Minnesota thing. I've been on for 26 minutes already. Back to this Minnesota thing. Like I say, this whole thing stinks to high heaven. I know this guy that loses his mind because the senator voted away different. The bill didn't pass because one Democratic senator voted against it. Okay? And then he has a hit list from Tim Walz on down. Now, are we ever going to hear the truth? I don't know. But the whole thing is not... There's some skeletons in people's closet, and I think Tim Walz has one of them in his. And, probably the feds, too. I can't believe a state could get away with something like I'm thinking they did, this. And the federal government not being, somebody in the federal government not getting their fingers into the mess, too. But anyway, just interesting times. But it's good to see one thing, that the riots are getting calmed down. June 14th, nobody showed up. They spent $2.1 billion on that protest yesterday, the Democrats did. $2.1 billion. And somebody brought up to me, well, they were bringing up how Trump spent millions on that military parade. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. Absolutely. That's why we had 3 tiers. This is the thing. If we follow the Constitution, nobody in our government has absolute power. Okay? Nobody has absolute power. But we don't adhere to the Constitution no more. That's an old piece of paper that's relic. We need our democracy. That's another thing. I'm so sick and tired. I will vote for the first presidential candidate that starts using the term constitutional republic, because I'll vote for him, because we'll have finally somebody in government that knows what kind of government we have. So sick of this democracy talk. It's all you hear. It's a threat to our democracy, anything that's a threat to the democracy that the politicians want to create in this country, I'm all for it. I'm 100% for any threat to our democracy. Because the reason we're having so many problems is we're trying to turn our constitutional republic into a democracy. Okay? We ain't no longer a land of laws, we're a land of men. Meaning if you're a big enough man, you don't have to worry about the laws. Am I lying? Anyway, I appreciate everybody. I'll never ask for money or donations or sell anything on this channel. If I get big enough, I'll let advertisers pay for it. But if you hit that thumbs up and subscribe to support the channel, and hit that bell notification, help me get the truth out. I tell you what, YouTube's really clamped down on my channel. My live streams were going in hyperspace not too long ago. And it's really slowed down, okay? I mean, where I was getting thousands of views. And that's why you know you're over the target when they won't let you drop your bombs. Harris to be governor, are you kidding me? I heard that too. But of course she would get it. Who else? I mean, who else would get it? You know it's going to be a Democrat. Anyway, I would suspect too, you know, but anyway, that state has a lot of problems. But yeah, Harris, she ain't going to go away. I wish she would. Anyway, she would. You know, this is the thing. You Democrats come up with these candidates and you expect to win, okay? Everybody loved Barack Obama. Nobody loved Kamala Harris, okay? Remember, Joe Biden supposedly got what, 82 million votes or 92 million votes? So all those people that voted for him, you know, basically got the shaft because they wanted Kamala Harris in, okay? But, you know, if you, Howie Long, hey, we'll get monsters in there. Anyway, so, yeah, this Minnesota thing. I think it's a sex trafficking thing. I think they use a government agency that they made up and hid, put this guy in charge to bring people to Minnesota. I just can't believe that there wasn't corruption here. And of course there's corruption because we got a maniac that just doesn't seem to be able to be caught. Maybe he did himself in, but why couldn't the dogs have found him? Okay, and it's not like you're dealing with the area there. It's grass. You know, the grass is going to be tall, but the wooded areas aren't where you can't tell. I mean, a dog should have found him by now. But we'll find out. You know, did he have another vehicle waiting there? Was this a really planned out thing? I would imagine this was planned out a little bit, meaning he showed up. I mean, then he was also part of a security company. And that's a vehicle used to look like a cop. The whole thing's crazy, okay? The whole thing's crazy. I know it's more than a senator voted the other way. And I said this, I will always say this. It's more than that. And like I say, if you think somebody's going to go off the rockers and want to kill a lot of Democrats from Tim Walz on down just because one senator voted against the bill that he wanted passed with all this USA and then his resume, which doesn't make any sense at all. I mean, 5 years as a manager at a 7-Eleven? Nah. Not for a second. And then, you know, I saw pictures, well, of the house that he owned, his wife lived in or whatever, but he had a roommate, lived in with a roommate who delivered pizzas. I mean, are you kidding me? God, how much of this shit do you think we can fucking swallow? I mean, some people aren't that stupid. I realize a lot of people will believe anything they hear. But, you know, me, if I hear something, it's got to at least make somewhat type of sense so I can rationalize it. Okay? But I can't rationalize nothing that's going on. He gets away from the cops. Cops can't catch him. He's like this mysterious guy. He runs a buried government agency that brings people in the United States or into Minnesota. Like I said, I came from Minnesota. I was born there, raised there. And I had to leave there a few years ago because I just couldn't take it anymore. Welcome to progressive style leftist politics. I know. But see, if we get the Constitution back and enforce the Constitution, we won't have this shit. And if we start treating mental illness in this country again, we won't have this shit. I mean, look at all the people that are protesting. They're all pharmaceutical customers. They're on antipsychotics and antidepressants. And they're saying, you need to be just like us. I don't take any of that shit. Why the hell would I want to be like you? And, I may want to fix this country's problems and be really motivated to do it. But I ain't out there losing my mind. Like I say, when it comes time for me to go out to the streets and protest, it'll be in camouflage. They're all overlooking that we have been compromised. Yeah. All over money. The average person, like you say, these crimes that these elites are committing, I mean, the average person wouldn't even be able to commit those crimes. We don't have the stuff that takes, the power, the wealth, the position. And these are some pretty crummy ass people. Very bad people. But I feel it was a human smuggling deal. We'll see. But, okay, Google is in the live chat again. Google, can you stop deleting people's messages and let them, okay, it doesn't offend me. If you're sitting in your chair and Google and offends you, just let it go. God, let's have freedom of speech. You can sit there and say stuff to make you look like an idiot. Hey, how's it going, Zay61? 661, hey, good to see you. Oh my God. Google's erasing messages. They're not liking you. JPayB, JBad. Maybe hit jobs on political now. Good, I miss you, man. Yeah. Well, I do a live stream in the morning sometimes too, like a coffee talk. But I tell you what, YouTube has slammed down on my channel. No more thousands and thousands of views on my live stream, thousands of comments. The thing is, YouTube has shown me what my channel potential is. And they show me that the algorithm is in charge, okay? But they haven't canceled my channel yet, so I'll stick in there as long as I can. But, like they say, when you know you're over the truth, over the target, when they won't even let you release your bombs, okay? So we'll find out if this Minnesota thing is all comes down to sex, human trafficking, or something to do with that, okay? But it's something a lot bigger than one senator voting one way. Okay, there's no way. Anyway. Why do we have conspiracy theories? Because intelligent people, like with the Kennedy assassination, who look at the film and say, there's no way the story they're telling us is true. Then he got hit from the back. That's why it blew the back of his head off and his head flew back. Because he got hit in the back of the head. It's been going on for years, people. What's your theory on Minnesota? I just came in. My theory of Minnesota is, okay, this guy is let's just say he's mysterious, you might say. His resume sounds a little weird. But it's got to deal, it's involved with money, U.S. aid and shit. It's involved with a government agency that's buried in the bureaucracy. I was from Minnesota. I didn't hear about the agency that he belonged to. It had to deal with bringing people to Minnesota while he smoothed out their transition. I say it's a human trafficking situation. Sex trafficking, human trafficking. That's my theory behind it. It's not some senator voted against the bill and the bill didn't pass, so I'm just going to kill every Democrat in the state of Minnesota. Yeah, I'm sure that's what it's over. I can hear by your that you're from that area. Yeah, I am from Minnesota. I grew up there. I was born there. I went to school in Walnut Grove, Minnesota for a couple of years. Grew up in that area, small town farm boy. And I know, like I said, I left there a few years ago because I saw Tim Walz was just destroying the state. All these small towns that I grew up in are being taken over by foreigners. Just like I keep bringing up Worthington. He was bragging on the presidential campaign how at Worthington School they speak 50 different languages. I just got a question. How many people do you think would be in the town of Worthington to speak 50 different languages there? 1 million? 500,000? No, 6,000 people. So that means the schools maybe between all the schools, 1,800 kids. 50 different languages. And they're so retarded, they're proud of that. But let's not wonder why we got all this extra expense at schools. I know Minnesota, and it's not the Minnesota I grew up in. I know, that's ridiculous. 50 languages in a town of 6,000 people. And the only reason it's that big is because the interstate goes through it, Interstate 90. It may not even be 6,000 people. It may be only like 4,000 or 5,000, to be honest. I'm not sure. But I know it's not over 6. Okay? I know the town very well. I used to drive through it all the time. I just don't remember what the sign said when it said population. Okay? But, to hear, I'm proud of that. I'm proud of that. Anyway, I'm sure old Tim Waltz has got some hand in the cookie jar in this. See, the thing is, in Nebraska, out at the ranch where I work and stuff, see, Tim Waltz is from that area. Yeah, he grew up in Nebraska, taught school in Nebraska, and a lot of people from this area don't like him very much at all. The family don't even like him. Yeah, there's lots of stories that he's just a sick individual, okay? But that's why another reason I go with the human trafficking. I just know it ain't because the senator voted a certain way. I mean, if that were the case, boy, we might have some senators that actually politicians that started voting with the people. St. Cloud, you from St. Cloud? Yeah, my kids are up in the Motley Staples area, up there in Leader and stuff. That's where my kids are. I actually got one in Brainerd, one in the outskirts of Motley, and one in Wadena. One daughter in Wadena. And then one daughter in Ogallala, Nebraska. So yeah, I know that area a lot. I used to have own a house up there by Cushing, just off of Highway 10 and stuff. So, but it changed too much. I couldn't handle living there no more. Dealing with, like I say, the Twilight Zone, where these people think morality over reality. So I'm trying to deal with somebody who isn't even thinking they're in reality, who's thinking they're in an alternate universe. How the hell am I supposed to talk about my reality when they're in a different reality? Like I say, when I heard that, it's beautiful, about thousands of Somali. Yeah, exactly. I grew up in small town southern Minnesota, Walnut Grove, Springfield, New Ulm, that area, right? All being taken over. Redwood Falls has been completely taken over. And they're allowed to drive in these cars, completely tinted windows. You can't even see in the window. Allowed to just break these laws. Okay? Where the Indian in Redwood Falls and the white guy are secondhand citizens. The schools are being taken over. Okay? That's the area I grew up in. I have family there. And they are pissed off. And I'm like, why don't you just move out? Well, some of them are older than me. Okay? They lived there their whole lives. Yeah, but they are being taken over. It's an invasion. And then the thing is, these Somalians are taking over the government. They're basically have taken over the medical system for Minnesota. It's just, there's no reason why a Minnesota resident has to deal with this shit. Okay? But, yeah, it's being invaded completely. It's been going on for years. I'm sure the Democrats will always be in office in Minnesota now because they'll never have enough votes for a Republican. Yeah, you got strong Republican counties in Minnesota. I lived in one, Morrison County. Very strong Republican county. I think you voted in this last 2020 election, you voted like 73% for Trump. But, there are plenty of other counties where they might have found a few extra votes, I don't know, underneath a couch or something like that. They are notoriously savage in Somalia to continue. Yeah, I've been to Somalia. We built houses for those people over there in Somalia to help them out, do a good deed, And then that was before Black Hawk Down. Like 2 years before that. Then they're dragging our soldiers through the street. I know Somalia. I've seen that shithole with my own eyes. And they want to bring that over here. I tell you what, maybe Governor Walz should go spend a year in Somalia once. Out there in the area where the American money isn't. See, this thing, you go to these poor African countries, and the area that the American money in is the area there. Well, I hate to say it, but even as Marines, when we went to this is where we hang out. That's where the 5-star hotels were at. And it was being in service, you didn't have to be rich. They accepted you just the way that you were. But that's what it's like in these countries. Go out there where there isn't that. Anyway, I like to see it. But yeah, Somalia is a shithole. An absolute shithole. Yeah, it's a party town down there. Hey, no free rides for Tampon Tim. Nope. I tell you what, I hate that son of a bitch. And when I came to Nebraska, how I found out he was from here is I went to the county I lived in, and I went to go change my plates, and here they do a VIN inspection. They inspect your VIN, make sure your vehicle ain't stolen. Well, the sheriff came out and did it for me. He goes, "Oh, you're from Minnesota, huh?" He goes, and this was back in 2022. He goes, "What do you think of that governor up there?" I said, "That's why I moved out." He goes, "Oh, yeah. He used to be superintendent of the schools here." And he went into about how he's just a piece of shit. Okay, this is a guy who knew him personally, the sheriff. He's a piece of shit. But I'm not going to get on here and tell stories about Tim Walz, okay? Just look in newspapers where he lived. You might find an article or two about horse semen and getting a stomach pumped at the hospital and that type of stories, but don't look too hard. Anyway, these people have no shame. Absolutely no shame. But anyway, the Minnesota thing, we will see what's going on. I can't wait to hear what the truth is. But I know it's got something to do with money, a buried government agency that brings people into Minnesota to smooth out their lives, run by a man who's definitely got a lot of secrets to hide. So we'll see what happens. Anyway, I'm glad everybody's here. If you like, say support the channel, hit that thumbs up, hit the subscribe and the notification. And I will be back tomorrow morning with another live stream. And I'm not going to say what it's about anymore. I can't plan a live stream even 12 hours in advance anymore. Because in this crazy world, you never know what the hell's going to happen. Okay. You seem like a cool dude. Have a good night, sir. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Appreciate you being here and share. Tell you what, go to my channel and check out my shorts and share them. I'm just a person who's pissed off enough where I'm not going to shut my mouth. I'm not going to shut my mouth because people have been silent for too long. And we got too many evil people taking advantage of it. Remember, evil blossoms when good men do nothing. And I don't plan on being one of those good men that said, I did nothing. I see you next, brother. I'll check out your channel. Thank you. That's right. Anyway, I appreciate everybody being here. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Everybody have a great evening.